Next article is about a person named Jane Goodall. So it's called Jane Goodall, Friend to Chimpanzees and Forests. So I know that we are needing to figure out which text structure this article is following so that we can fill in our next summary frame. And when I see Friend to Chimpanzees and Forests, that makes me stop and wonder, why is she a friend to chimpanzees and forests? So I almost wonder, is this giving us a clue that it might be problem and solution? So maybe there's a problem that she solved and that's why she's a friend. So I'm going to need to make sure that I am really paying attention right away to see if I see any more clues for problem and solution, or if maybe there is another text structure that this is following. So let's see. Jane Goodall wrote Ricky and Henry. She is a scientist who has spent many years studying chimpanzees. Jane's work with chimps began almost 50 years ago in Africa. Okay, well, now I'm seeing something that might clue me into sequence or chronological order, because it's saying that her work began almost 50 years ago. So I'm going to go ahead and underline that, because that seems to me like it might be a clue for a text structure. And I also am going to use some of my background knowledge here. And I know that so far, this is kind of describing Jane Goodall and some of the things that she's done, which makes it seem almost like a biography. And biographies, I know they describe people, and they tend to talk about points in a person's life. So, and that structure tends to be sequence or chronological order. So I'm definitely going to be on the lookout for that now. So Jane's work with chimps began almost 50 years ago in Africa. At first, okay, so here's another good clue. So at first, I'm going to go ahead and mark that. Jane would watch the chimps from a distance with binoculars. But gradually, the chimps allowed her to come closer. So that means slowly by slowly, the chimps were allowing her to come closer. One day, here we go, another clue. So this is showing us a sequence of events so far. So at first, they would only let her observe from a distance, but one day, so we see a progression here. One day, to her bewilderment, she saw chimps making tools to catch food. That's, okay, so we're definitely going to need some context here, because that seems almost common knowledge now. So let's see why this is a big deal. So one day, to her bewilderment, which means something surprised her, one day to her bewilderment, she saw chimps making tools to catch food. This was a big surprise. Before, okay, so that's a clue word here, before. It's kind of jumping back in time, but we're gonna go ahead and mark it anyways, because it's still kind of signaling some sequence here. Before Jane's discovery, scientists believed only humans made tools. Okay, so that explains why she was bewildered by this, why it surprised her. Before Jane's discovery, scientists believed only humans made tools. Eventually, I'm going to go ahead and mark that, because that's showing us there's more progression of time here. Eventually, Jane made many other discoveries about chimps. For example, she learned that chimps eat meat. She also argued that chimps each have their own personality. Another important thing Jane learned was that chimps are in danger. People hunt chimps. They also destroy their habitat. She created a protected place called Chimponga Sanctuary. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and mark this as well. So we see that she learned more things, and that actually led to another thing in the sequence, her creating a sanctuary. So let's see. So we'll say, not really sure how to mark this. I'm just going to go here. So she created a protected place, because I feel like that is in the sequence. So that's in the sequence here. So she created a protected place called Chimponga Sanctuary, Inside the sanctuary, the animals and their habitats are safe from hunters and loggers. Jane also continues to teach, so we see continues. So it's telling us things are progressing in the sequence. Jane also continues to teach others about chimps and the environment. She gives speeches all around the world. Her work is beneficial to the many animals that need protection. Her many efforts convince people to protect the chimps and preserve their habitat. Even a small sacrifice of time or money can be a big help to chimpanzees in danger. So here at the very end, I see a little bit of cause and effect. However, when I look back at the entirety of this article, I'm really seeing a lot more that is signaling a sequence of events or chronological order. So we see that she's been doing all this stuff for over, about 50 years. And we see what she did at first, and then one day, and then before, and eventually. So it's really showing us this progression of events, a sequence of events that really led to her creating this protected place. So it's showing us all these points in her life. So, I mean, we could try it with the cause and effect, but I think all in all, this is probably closer to a sequence or cause and effect. I think when we go to our summary frame, we'll first try it out with the sequence. And if that doesn't fit, then we can try it with cause and effect. But I really feel like this is leaning more towards sequence or chronological order. All right, so now you're going to go ahead and go over to your